Chapter 1. The Abduction. Captain Elias Carter had seen many strange things in his 12 years as a deep space explorer, but nothing compared to this. His ship, the Odyssey, had been drifting near the uncharted edges of the Andromeda system when the massive vessel appeared. Sleek, silver, and utterly silent. One moment, he was running diagnostics. The next, a blinding light engulfed his cockpit. Then, darkness. When he awoke, he was no longer in his ship. The walls around him pulsed with a faint bioluminescent glow, and the air smelled faintly of ozone and something floral. His limbs felt heavy, his thoughts sluggish. Drug. Before he could fully gather his senses, the door, if it could be called that, slithered open like living tissue. A figure stepped inside. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, with skin the color of twilight, deep violet, shimmering with iridescent patterns that shifted like liquid. Her eyes were large, pupilless, and glowing a soft gold. A crown of delicate, crystalline spines adorned her forehead, marking her as royalty. Elias tried to speak, but his throat was dry. The alien tilted her head, studying him with an unsettling intensity. Then to his shock she spoke, in perfect English. "You are awake. Good." Elias coughed. "Where am I?" "The sovereign, flagship of the Xerian Empire," she replied. "I am Princess Velara." Elias's stomach twisted. The Xerians were one of the most advanced and reclusive species in the galaxy. They rarely interacted with humans, and when they did, it was never good news. "Why am I here?" he demanded. Velara's lips, full and tinged a darker violet, curved into a smile. "Because I chose you." Chapter 2. The Princess's Request. Elias soon learned that he was not a prisoner, at least not in the traditional sense. Velara had selected him from thousands of human profiles intercepted from deep space transmissions. She had studied human culture, their emotions, their romance. And she had become fascinated. "Mother," she said one day, leading Elias into a grand domed chamber where a regal, even taller Xerian female sat upon a floating throne. "This is the one I told you about." The Empress, Velara's mother, regarded Elias with cold, calculating eyes. "A human?" "Yes," Velara said, her voice firm. "I wish to take him as my consort." Elias choked. "What?" The Empress leaned forward. "You understand what you are asking, daughter? Human cannot bond as we do. Their lifespans are pitifully short. Their biology is incompatible." Velara's jaw set. "There are ways. Genetic modifications. Bonding rituals. I have researched this." Elias felt like a specimen under a microscope. "Hold on, you're talking about marrying me?" Without even asking. Velara turned to him, her golden eyes softening. "Would you refuse?" Elias opened his mouth, then hesitated. She was an alien princess, beautiful, powerful, and yet there was something in her gaze, genuine longing. He didn't know what to say. Chapter 3. The Trial. The Empress was not easily swayed. "If my daughter insists on this experiment," she declared, "then the human must prove himself worthy." And so, Elias was subjected to trials. The first was physical, a test of endurance in the zero-gravity arenas of Xeria. Elias, though trained in space combat, was nearly crushed by a biomechanical beast before Velara intervened, her own claws slashing through its hide. The second was intellectual, a battle of wits against the Empire's finest scholars. Elias, drawing on his years of deep space navigation, managed to solve a quantum puzzle that had stumped even the Xerian scientists. The final trial was the most dangerous. "You must survive the void," the Empress said. "A place between dimensions. If you return, you are worthy. If not, Velara protested, but the decree was final. Elias was sent into the abyss. Chapter 4: The Choice. The void was madness. Time bent. Space twisted. Elias saw things, memories, futures, things that could not be. He saw Earth burning. He saw himself older, standing beside Velara, her hand in his. And then he was back. Gasping, he collapsed at the Empress's feet. Velara rushed to him. You live. The Empress studied him, then nodded. Very well. The human has passed. But Elias, trembling, looked up at Velara. I saw things, our future. Or destruction. If we bond, our races will collide. Velara's grip tightened. Then we will change fate. Chapter 5: The Bond. In the end, Elias made his choice. The bonding ceremony was unlike anything on Earth. Their hands were wrapped in living tendrils of light, their minds briefly linked. He felt her thoughts, her fears, her love. And when it was done, he was no longer just human. The Empress, though still wary, granted them her blessing. You will be a bridge between our kinds, she said. As Elias stood beside Velara, gazing out at the stars, he realized. He had not been abducted. He had been chosen. And for the first time in his life, he was exactly where he was meant to be. Epilogue: A New Dawn. Years had passed since Elias Carter became consort to Princess Velara of the Xerian Empire. At first, the union had been met with skepticism, not just from the Xerian High Council, but from humanity as well. The United Earth Federation had panicked when they discovered one of their own had been taken, and worse, had willingly stayed. Diplomatic tensions flared. Threats were exchanged. For a brief, terrifying moment, war seemed inevitable. But Elias and Velara had worked tirelessly to prevent it. Now, standing on the observation deck of the Sovereign, Elias watched as the first joint colony between humans and Xerians took shape on a lush, terraformed moon below. The structures were a blend of both species' architecture, crystalline Xerian spires intertwined with sturdy human alloys. Velara stepped beside him, her twilight skin shimmering under the artificial light of the station. She no longer wore the crown of her people. Instead, a simpler circlet rested upon her brow, marking her not just as a princess, but as a diplomat, a bridge between worlds. They're calling it New Eden, Elias murmured, nodding toward the colony. Velara's golden eyes gleamed. A fitting name. He turned to her, studying the woman. No, the being who had changed the course of his life. She was still as mesmerizing as the day he had first seen her, but now he knew the weight she carried, the sacrifices she had made. Do you ever regret it? He asked softly. Choosing me. She reached out, her long fingers intertwining with his. The genetic modifications had extended his lifespan, but he would still age faster than her. They both knew that. Yet, in this moment, none of that mattered. Never, she said. A chime echoed through the chamber. The High Council was waiting. There were still treaties to sign, alliances to solidify. The work was far from over. But as they walked away from the viewport, side by side, Elias knew one thing for certain. Their story was just beginning.